The minority in Parliament is accusing the Speaker, Professor Michael Quay, of gagging them. The Speaker Thursday refused to allow ranking member on the Foreign Affairs Committee, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, to comment on a statement by Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister Habibu Tijani on the issue of Ghanaian migrants stranded in Spain. The Speaker said Mr. Ablakwa had forfeited his opportunity to comment on the issue in Parliament because he had taken his concerns to the media.
All were in reaction to what apparently was a reaction to what Honorable Okudzeto had released, given, spoken on to the media. Honorable members, I have said before, it is our culture, in fact, in all tribes in Ghana, if you are taking your case to Ahimfie, you don't start commenting on it throughout the village, especially to beat the gong in the village on that matter. The chief will not hear you, and you all know that. Let us face it. Parliament is the highest Ahimfie. Therefore, if you are taking your matter to Parliament, take it straight to Parliament before people start making all manner of wild commentaries on the same subject matter. In fact, it is a disrespect to Parliament. This matter has happened before. I gave my directives, and I'll ask honorable members to exercise restraint. I want to choose my words carefully. I don't want to descend to some of those levels. The honorable ranking forfeits his right to bring this matter right before the House, because when he had the chance, he did not go to Ahimfie. Any honorable member who intends to bring a matter before this House by our rules and privileges must come to this House and not turn it into a gallery of media play. And that is my ruling.
Addressing journalists outside Parliament House, Mr. Ablakwa said the Speaker's ruling is alien to the rules of the House. Mr. Ablakwa wants Professor Michael Quay to know he's a Speaker and not in the House is not a monarchy.
This is a parliamentary democracy. We are a republic. We are not a monarchy. He is Speaker of Parliament. He is not the monarch of Parliament. What Speaker Okwe has done today is simply gagging members of Parliament. The Speaker is suggesting that upon my return from Valencia, Spain, I should not talk to you in the media. I should not convey the plight of the migrants I went to visit and start a national debate which will be continued in Parliament. And that is why the Speaker could not state anywhere in our standing orders or the Constitution of Ghana that says that if you are coming to make a statement in Parliament, you cannot speak in public. What the Right Honourable Speaker Okwe has done today is alien to our rules. It's not stipulated anywhere in the standing orders of Parliament that you cannot speak to an issue, an important issue. Meanwhile, as the Right Honourable Speaker Okwe has descended into this crass partisan politics, hundreds of our nationals are dying every week, as I have found out. We are here bickering and engaged in petty partisan politics, undercutting and undermining our opponents, abusing our majority, abusing our speakership, using all kinds of tools not known to the Constitution and not known to our standing orders. Meanwhile, the real issue that has to be addressed has been left, has been abandoned.
The Chairman of Parliament's Foreign Affairs Committee, Frank Arnaud-Dompre, has defended the Speaker's action and is asking the ranking member to be more responsible in his utterances. He says Mr. Ablakwa is fond of making unfounded allegations and apologizing to the Speaker subsequently.
Don't forget, this is the same Honorable Rankin who had alleged the Ghanaians were involved in ISIS. Eventually, he had to go to the Speaker and apologize to the Speaker and pleaded that he should be forgiven. We don't want to drag this matter overly. The ministry has assured us that they are in touch with our missions both in Spain and Malta. We have gone even beyond the ministry to speak to our representatives in these missions. As we speak, we don't have a confirmation of Ghanaians involved. But any responsible MP, any responsible public servant, if you gather such an important information which borders on security, which borders on the sovereignty of states, what you need to do is to release this information to the security agencies. If he had done same for the ISIS, I'm sure he wouldn't have gone eventually to go and apologize to the Speaker. So the ranking should behave much more responsibly and realize the fact that he is dealing with the reputation of Ghana. If you put out information on the social media and you cannot prove it and eventually you have to withdraw, just as he did for the ISIS, the harm would have been done already, and our name would have been affected.
Minority claims the Speaker is gagging them, and for them this is very worrying for parliamentary democracy. You are chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee, a leading member of the House. What do you say to such a...
Well, first of all, I don't know how long you have been in this House, but this House operates within law. We operate with the Constitution, we operate with the standing orders. He should tell us, he should be honest enough to tell us which of the standing order has been compromised by the Speaker. What the Speaker said, we are totally in agreement. Such an important matter which borders on the sovereignty of our country and on security, national security. If you have a statement and you want to present it to this August House, you don't go, first of all, go and present it to social media and create an impression before you come and present the statement. I would think that the Speaker acted in good faith. We need to respect the sanctity of this House. It's a gathering of the representatives of the people, and he cannot take the people's representation.
The Energy Ministry is dismissing claims before we get to that, well, Dr. Rashid Rahman of the Parliamentary Centre joins us live on the phone to speak with us about this issue of the minority claiming that they've been gagged by the Speaker of Parliament. Now, how do we resolve these frequent accusations that come up between the Speaker and the minority, Dr. Rahman?
Thank you very much for having me. I think that we've spoken about this on your network and on other networks over and over again. I think, first of all, every Speaker of Parliament, I think, has a responsibility to create space for the minority in Parliament so that the space for political dialogue and discussion is not conscripted, so to say. What we have seen, I think, over the last 1.5 years is the continuous perception on the part of the minority that they are not allowed the space to exercise their democratic right as pertains in our Constitution.
Is that accurate? Would you say that is accurate?
Well, in some instances it is. In this particular instance, I'm not in Ghana right now. As you know, I'm in Canada, but I've been following the discussions back home. In this particular instance, I think the minority honorable member from the minority aired. I think the justification given by the Speaker and the majority leader in this instance, I think, is fair. Having said that, I think in the past, I have observed instances where perhaps maybe the Speaker could have given a little bit more space to the minority. Because at the end of the day, like I said earlier, whatever it is, there is always going to be a situation where the Speaker of Parliament is going to be a product or somebody who has the support or somebody who is coming from the majority side. In this particular instance, as it was the case in the 6th Parliament, we had speakers who were members of Parliament before on the ticket of the majority party. So right from day one, there would be that perception. And I think that the Speaker would do well to perhaps maybe open up the space a little bit more. Whilst at the same time, I think the minority would also have to be a responsible minority, not crying foul all the time, and not just maybe opposing just for the sake of opposing, but being a constructive minority group and a responsible opposition in that case.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rashid Draman. Dr. Rashid Draman is with the Parliamentary Center. This is Joy News Prime. The Media Foundation for West Africa has questioned some of the methods used by investigative journalist Anas Aremi Anas, especially in his latest expose on corruption in football. The foundation's executive director, Suleiman Abrahima, says though the results of the expose have been helpful in highlighting some misconduct by the persons involved, the journalism profession does not endorse some of the methods. Mr. Abrahima is calling for a debate on the methodology so that where acceptable, it could be adopted by the country's journalism schools. Until then, he says it was inappropriate for those who did the undercover work to instigate the conduct of the characters in the documentary.
Journalism, it cannot be accepted that you, the journalist, become a co-creator of a scene and capture that scene and report to audience as an independent story. Because the whole essence of being fair, being balanced, being objective, and so on and so forth still applies when whether or not you are using undercover or subterfuge or whatever it is. And so I've asked people, what is the story? What did we see in number 12? And I tell myself, or the response that I get from people is, well, we saw a scene in which people affiliated with or people that we believe is Anas, but whose identities we didn't, we couldn't establish. But of course, the producers of the video accepts that these are people who were working for us, having conversations with people, offering them monies that are described now as bribes, and the people accepting those things, and then those scenes being captured and pieced together as a story and shown to us. Now, the fundamental question then is, but for the action of the people or the journalists, what would have been the story?
If you're incorruptible, you wouldn't have accepted the money.
Yes, so the point I'm making is that journalists are supposed to produce stories, okay? So if the story had been that, well, Anas and his team heard about Kwesi Nyantakyi dealing with some people about potential sponsorship for the GFA or Ghana football, and they tracked the conversation, followed through. There was a meeting that was happening in Dubai. They managed to wire the room where the meeting was going to take place, and eventually this is the conversation that took place. Then indeed, through undercover, through subterfuge, through deception, the journalist is projecting to us what has happened, independent of his own actions. But if in a situation you ask yourself, without the action of the journalist, there wouldn't have been a story, then indeed that cannot be described as journalistic. And let me give you a scenario. Indeed, Anas started this kind of work way back, and we've all loved him. Anas is a friend. I've had conversations with him about number 12 and my views, and he's expressed his views as well. But when you take, for example, the work that he did on Eurofoods, if you can recall, a company that was manufacturing biscuit with expired flour and so on and so forth. And, eventually we all saw the documentary, flour with maggots and so on and so forth. Now, there was no way the journalist was going to be able to get us that story by going to interview somebody or anything. And so he went undercover, got employed, worked with the organization for a number of months, and in all this, his intention was to be able to capture what was happening, to reveal to his audience. You understand? And not to create it. And so eventually what he brought to us were things that were happening. And so these are happenings that he is revealing to us. And I must emphasize that what I am interrogating is whether or not what he's done is journalistically acceptable in this particular instance of number 12. And people shouldn't misconstrue, because a lot of people are looking at the impact. And people will tell you, look, Masa, the results alone is enough. We don't care whether what he did is journalistic or not. But why it is important for me, as somebody who works in this field of media development and always talking about professionalism, is that if we were to say that what the processes for procuring the content of number 12, and I'm using my words carefully, you know, the procurement of the content for the video were acceptable, you know, the procedures, then we are saying that you, Israel, if you hear or you know or you believe that a minister in this country or anybody at all is corrupt, then you can decide to go have conversations with the minister, try to do whatever you would do, and then try to offer them whatever you have. So you give the minister 50,000, or Mr. Minister, this is just for your whatever, water. And then the minister immediately calls the police bodyguard and says, pick this man up because he's trying to bribe me. Then we are saying that it is enough as a defense for you to simply say, look, I'm a journalist. I was trying to see whether I can get him, I can catch him, because I've heard that he's this, he's that, he's that. And therefore, so long as it is established that you are a journalist, you must be allowed to go free, because it is a procedure that is accepted, that has been used, and that has been endorsed. And I don't think that that is the way to go. People have said journalism is moving on. Technology is making, you know, journalism go beyond the traditional boundaries that we know. I agree. But I don't think that we've gotten to the stage where we can say journalistically, a journalist can be a co-creator and somebody says a manufacturer of a certain content, package it, and then produce it for us to view or to read as a piece of story.
You're talking about issues having to do with ethics, but the Ghana Journalists Association is fully behind what the kind of work ANAS has done, and they're saying that the methods are okay. They don't have any problem with the methods.
Well, I'm not sure about that. What I read from the GJA was a statement calling for protection for ANAS, which I fully 100% or more than 100% endorse in terms of protection.
Before that statement, I mean, the president of the GJA has been out there talking about the fact that he doesn't have any problem with the methods that ANAS has used.
Well, we need to interrogate, and of course we need to again find out from the GJA whether they say that so long as, you see, people say once you can demonstrate the public interest aspect of it, you know, once you can demonstrate that what you have done, the consequence of it or the result of it is for public good, then of course the matters may not matter. But that is not the case. And as I've said, you know, if you read the Ofcom rules, and people relate to the Ofcom rules in many, because they are quite advanced when it comes to this, you know, undercover subterfuge and so on and so forth. Of course, they talk about the public interest override. And so they talk about you can do it if it is warranted. And warranted, the qualification for it is if public interest is established. And public interest here, and they give examples, for example, that you reveal, and look at the word, reveal something that is about health concern, or something that has national security implications, something that has, you know, whatever the public interest in, we can relate to, you know. But I'm saying that even there, if you, for example, if a BBC journalist were to go out there and in an effort to bring out something that is of public interest, what they have to do is that they are going to bribe the person and record that same act, you know, because here it's about the bribery, that is the act. But if it is that the person is bribed in order to see whether they would do something, and then you trace to track that particular thing because you know this person can commit this act which is not of national interest, then that's a different matter. But here the story is the bribery, which is instigated and created through the actions of the journalist. If you read Channel 4, they have a guideline on how their journalists in the UK, how their journalists would make sure they stay within the limits of Ofcom rules when it comes to undercover journalism, subterfuge, deception, and so on. In fact, they even make the point that the operator of a secret camera must be careful not to act in a way that would get the subject, and the subject here is the person who is, the subject of the story or the target, must be careful not to act in ways that will get the subject to act in a particular way that he or she wouldn't have acted but for the action of the conduct of the secret camera person. So in ordinary sense, what it means is, in operating your secret camera, if I have bowed like this and so you are not seeing my face and you want to see my face, and then you say that, please can you, sit up. It's an action prompted by your command. And if I do that, it is not within the limits of the principles of undercover, and because then you would have been creating that particular action.
What was your position back then when Anas did the same work on the judges?
Well, I must be frank that even in the case of the judges, we were part of those who partnered for the premiering of the documentary. I was among those who were sued for defamation, and I actually nearly got jailed because the day the case was called, the contempt case was called, for one reason or the other, I didn't make it. So the next day, I was actually going to explain why I failed to, appear before the court for the contempt, But of course, luckily for me, the way things turned out in terms of at some point, the people who filed the case saying we are not interested anymore and so on and so forth. Now, I should say that at that time, these perspectives of whether or not the processes were journalistic, hadn't been something that had dawned on me.
Suleiman Abraham is Executive Director of the Media Foundation for West Africa, and Anas has himself been questioned about his methodology. When he appeared on Joy FM Super Morning Show, he justified it though.
Background research is very important to our investigation. Without that, we will fall. We always must have our backup plans, we call it review of related literature in journalism school. That's what we say. All this ought to be in proper perspective. The research ought to be properly done. So if I got up out of this studio and something popped up, yes, it will be good for the news value. But when it gets to the investigative arena, the ball game changes. I keep saying, let's not anybody take my journalism hook, line, and sinker. The work I do is not sacrosanct. And I have said, I name, shame, and jail. Those are the key cardinals I look at. Look, we are undercover journalists. That's our job. You understand? What does undercover mean? Subterfuge journalism. What does it mean? You are going in to do something that you are not. That is clear in the definitions. So this issue of you set him up and all, it's neither here or there. This is established principle, not only in Ghana. It's on the BBC, it's on the CNN, it's on Al Jazeera. How come when I do journalism, I do same undercover on the BBC and Al Jazeera and other international network? That is fine. But you do it in Ghana and you say what?
We're taking a break here on Joy News Prime to bring you business news, but in one of the headlines we're having this evening, Madam Charlotte Osei, the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, and her two deputies have been removed. We had a statement coming in from Jubilee House. We're taking a break. Stay tuned for business news next.
Hello, good evening. It's now time for business. The National Petroleum Authority, NPA, today presented plans so far made on the implementation of the LPG cylinder recirculation policy to the Council of State. The presentation was to outline objectives of the policy and the preparedness for the rollout of the new policy.
The rollout of the recirculation model in January 2019 is expected to provide a safer and more efficient way of distributing LPG following the gas explosion at the atomic junction and other previous incidents. Despite some concerns by the Ghana LPG Operators Association as well as LPG marketers the new policy will deprive their businesses and result in unemployment, the National Petroleum Authority is not ready to budge. The NPA today presented its plans on the recirculation model to the Council of State, explaining its preparation so far to the Council. Hassan Tampuli is CEO of the NPA.
We've circulated, the requirements to members of the implementation committee, and like you heard me mention, it's a very broad-based implementation committee consisting of members of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Mines and Energy, representatives from Ghana Standards Authority, EPA, Factories Inspectorate Department, Town and Country Planning Department, now LUSPA, Land Use and Spatial Planning Authority, Fire Service, civil society is represented by Imani, Chamber of Bulk Distributors, Association of Oil Marketing Companies, LPG Marketers Association, LPG Operators Association, LPG Tanker Drivers Association are all represented on this committee. And I believe that by the nature of the work that we have done so far, it's appropriate for us to now seek to engage other stakeholders who are also interested in the LPG value chain in the country.
So far, these companies, Quantum Energy, Well and Puma, have been selected to construct bottling plants across the country for gas supply.
Real estate developers have once again been challenged to be innovative and utilize local raw materials to reduce their cost of construction. Deputy Minister for Works and Housing, Frida Prempeh, says this will make home acquisition easier and contribute to bridging the housing deficit. Frida Prempeh made the call during the launch of this year's Multi-TV Habitat Fair in Accra. Sheila Tamaklu reports.
The 9th edition of the Multi-TV Habitat Fair has been launched with the aim of helping to address the rise in housing deficit. Speaking at the launch, Deputy Minister for Works and Housing, Frida Prempeh, stressed the need for real estate developers to employ local building materials to cut down their production costs.
So I'm also urging industry players to go back to the drawing boards. Our doors are opened. Let's see how best we can all put our heads together and find a lasting solution to this issue. They will talk about infrastructure costs, but sometimes it looks like we hide behind infrastructure costs. We can address this issue together as industry players in the housing industry. So we should not hide behind the scenes and talk about the fact that it's not affordable. It can be affordable if you come together and try and incorporate some of our local raw materials into the housing industry, try to be a little innovative and creative, tap into new technologies and see how best we can bring the cost of building down. Ghana is endowed with a lot of resources. We have clay, we have timber, we have all it takes to put up affordable housing projects.
The Multi-TV Habitat Fair brings together experts and companies in the housing sector to profess solutions to the housing needs of Ghanaians. Some real estate developers partnering this year's event tell us what to expect.
We know that this year is going to be better because this year we have a lot of designs available. We have a lot of house types that are available. Last year some were not completed, but this year some are completed for people to actually come and then view. We also have promotional facilities. We have flexible terms of payment. This year we are again giving 10% discount on all houses purchased at the fair, in addition to a free remote control gate and a garage, a video entry system, a fitted kitchen, and many more.
We are offering first-time homeowners an opportunity to get somewhere to live, especially married couples and those entering into the fraternity fresh. We are going to give them some good offers. We've given more than 25 to 30% discount on all our facilities. But we are evolving a new system that will enable them own the place, live in it, and pay at will.
This year's Multi-TV Habitat Fair will come off in August. Sheila Tamaklu for Joy Business.
Some organizations who listened to business proposals from participants of the Cosmos Innovation Center AgriTech Challenge are already expressing interest in partnering the young entrepreneurs. The business concepts are expected to offer technology-based solutions to challenges in the agriculture value chain. Some members of the ideation team tell Joy News' Athlete Arthur the agribusiness ideas proposed by the teams are very impressive.
14 groups of young entrepreneurs came prepared, ready to convince judges drawn from the technology and agribusiness sector.
SikaSave has decided that for Mary and her friends, we are going to provide them with a secured savings platform.
This is the second competitive pitching event of the Cosmos Innovation Center AgriTech Challenge, which seeks to unearth innovative technology-based ideas that provide solutions to various problems facing Ghana's agricultural value chain.
We are not dealing with one supplier. We have a number of them, and we're actually working through the Fish Association. And so we have a collective group of people we are working with. So it's not just an individual.
It's a farm-based, agricultural-based recruitment agency that we want to bring out, where we'll be able to provide a platform for commercial farmers, agro-processors to assess labor, being it skilled labor, unskilled labor, or casual labor.
Director of the Cosmos Innovation Center, George Sapon, tells Joy News the presence of various players in the agri-tech sector at the pitch event is very encouraging.
I think I can call about 8 or 9 companies that are present over here, the likes of Yara, the likes of Fuma Energy, and several of them that are here. Their CEOs actually are here, so it tells you that there is a great interest, and we want to expand that interest.
Director of NIIT, Yao Amwaten, who is also a judge, says it's commendable that the Cosmos Innovation Center is empowering young people and encouraging them to use technology to explore the many opportunities in the agriculture sector.
The whole concept, and that's why I commend KIC for this, because technology was seen to be there, and then we always cry that people are not going into agriculture. So they pick something that a lot of young people are excited about, which is technology, and then associated it to agric. So now you see all the people here, very young, bright people, now they want to get into that space. So I think that is what really becomes a selling proposition.
Managers of some agri-tech firms said they were impressed with the pitches and would not hesitate to offer support to young entrepreneurs to start their businesses.
We are always ready to support people who may come to us with ideas, with experience sharing, even with technology. If somebody is developing some solution that you feel that you have an API that they can actually plug into to use for their programs, you're always ready to support them to be able to do it. You're also ready to, the experience is very, very important. I mean, you cannot have a business in Africa without having to learn from people who have been in that business for a very long time. And that's why I encourage every one of them to be able to come to us, go to people that they have so much experience in the sector and learn from them.
Some business concepts presented this year include farm management, access to information, transportation and storage, produce quality and standards, as well as soil quality and pest control. The judges will now collate the scores, and what they are basically looking out for are clarity in presentation, clarity on the problem, clarity on the solution, and the kind of technology or innovation that is being offered by participants. And those who are able to impress the ideation team as well as the KIC technical team will proceed to the final stage of the competition. Those who are unable to impress the judges will be eliminated. Adelaide Arthur, Joy News, Accra.
And winners of the MTN App Challenge Competition version 5 have received various awards at the ceremony in Accra. The competition was for people to develop apps that will bring convenience and improve life significantly. Razak Isaka emerged overall winner with his Man Must Chop app. There's more in this report.
This year's edition of the MTN App Challenge version 5.0 saw participants from all walks of life. The App Challenge seeks to promote creativity while empowering entrepreneurship. Various awards were given to persons who developed applications in games and entertainment, business, education, lifestyle animations, among others. This year there was an award for the Best Female Developer Award category. Chief Marketing Officer of MTN Ghana, Noah Kojo Ganson, says MTN's aim is to empower women through this application.
I'm happy to say that as a business, we pride ourselves in giving full and equal access to women in the area of science, technology, and mathematics. Indeed, technology and innovation have been recognized as imperatives for achieving gender equality and empowerment for girls. In view of this, MTN is championing a project for women in technology where girls receive mentorship from women in ICT project. We have included the Best Female Developer Award category this year, a category that has seen the submission of some contributing projects. We believe the sustenance of this category will lead to the contribution of resources to the filling of the wider human resource gap in STEM, a gap that indicates the need for extensive development of our human resources.
Senior Manager in charge of Product and Services, Bless Sapanu Agojo, commented on how the challenge will impact entrepreneurship skills of the youth.
One of our key strategic pillars is to empower the younger generation. So we thought it wise to introduce the female category that will empower them to be able to compete on any scale with their male counterparts.
In the senior high school category, Legon Presec Boys was the best. For the lifestyle category, Sario App emerged winner, while Man Must Chop App won the animation category and eventually became the overall winner. The new entry, Best Female App, was won by Kaya App, and some of the participants shared the experience.
That's all by way of business tonight. Many thanks for your company. My name is Emmanuel Abuachi Riafe. Have a good evening.
Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Now, the police administration is questioning a police officer said to have been found drunk with a weapon on public transport. A video of the heavily drunk police officer has been making rounds on Facebook after it was posted by one person who was on board the trotro. The Director General of Public Affairs of the Ghana Police Service, ACP David Eklu, joins me live on phone with an update on the police officer's conduct. Thank you for making time, ACP David Eklu. Now, what is the very latest update on this police officer?
Yes, thank you very much. The video that went viral yesterday generated a lot of public concerns, especially it raised questions about police professionalism and safety of the public, especially when the officer was seen having a weapon. So as I indicated yesterday, we launched investigations immediately to identify the officer. And as of close of business yesterday, the police officer has been identified. He works at one of the guard units that guards vital installations. And as I speak to you, I'm outside Accra, but I'm told that he has been marched before the commander, and the necessary administrative processes have been established.
All right. Has he admitted that it was indeed he was the one on the video, in the video?
The video is being critically analyzed, but the good aspect is that the officer in question has been identified. So that is one aspect of it, and the weapon also retrieved from him. So the other administrative processes are on course.
You say that he is appeared before his commander. What happens from then on?
Unfortunately, I am not privy to what happened with the commander. But I know that
after he appears before the commander.
There are two steps. His immediate commander was ordered to march him before the Director General. It is under the Director General in charge of the National Protection Unit. That is the overall supervisor. So they have been marched before him, and I believe that the necessary administrative process. But let me indicate that police officers who are found drunk whilst on duty are taken to administrative disciplinary procedures, but not criminal procedures. So the necessary administrative procedures are what I have outlined. He has been identified, his immediate supervisor, and he himself have been marched before the Director General to get an understanding of what happened, how he got a weapon, how he got drunk, so that the necessary steps will be taken. In addition to that, the video is also being critically analyzed to establish its authenticity, and then the necessary process will be taken.
Do you need to establish the authenticity again if the officer has indeed appeared that, well, I'm the one in the video?
Yes, because it depends on the statement he's going to give to his commander, for which I am not privy of. But certainly, certain checks will have to be done to be doubly sure that the appearance of drunkenness would have to be further interrogated and examined.
All right, thank you very much. ACP David Eklu is the Director General of Public Affairs of the Ghana Police Service. You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break. We'll bring you showbiz next. Now, some local tilapia sellers are reporting a sharp decline in patronage less than 24 hours after the government announced a ban on importation of tilapia into Ghana. A statement from the Fisheries Ministry Wednesday said the ban is being enforced to prevent this possible spread of the tilapia lake virus. The Fisheries Ministry says the virus has been detected in some countries in Africa, Asia, and America. The ban also affects the importation of all ornamental fishes usually used for aquariums for purely aesthetic purposes. The announcement may have sparked fear among the public, causing them to stay away from tilapia. Jacqueline Johnson-Quay has been speaking to some tilapia sellers in Accra who say all they sell are locally produced and do not fall in that risk category.
What I have now is fresh. Because of the news making rounds, people are not coming to buy from us. What we sell is the Ghana breed tilapia. It's from the Afram Plains. When you compare the imported to the local ones, they are clearly different. One is frozen and covered in ice, whilst the other is not.
The imported ones are in boxes and always frozen, but our tilapia is from Afram Plains. We don't sell the imported tilapia. The market is slow. People are not buying because of the announcements on air.
This
is not the imported one. It is local. There's a market at Kaswa where the fish is brought from various fish farms like Akosombo. That is where I get my fish. Business is slow today. People are not buying at all.
With the Accra High Court deferring its ruling on an application by the Multimedia Group asking for the dismissal of a defamation case brought against it. Justice Anthony Eboa explained the court had been notified of an application at the Court of Appeal seeking to halt ongoing proceedings. The Association of Licensed Cocoa Buyers is in court, accusing the media group of putting together a documentary containing unverified allegations. The judge on Thursday adjourned hearing to October 18. There is more in the following report.
Lawyers for the Multimedia Group in May got the green light for a documentary produced in January this year to be aired when the court turned down a request to place an injunction on the broadcast. Justice Anthony Eboa had explained blocking the broadcast will amount to preemptive censorship. The Multimedia Group then filed another motion demanding that the substantive defamation rate be dismissed. The license buying companies dissatisfied headed to the Court of Appeal seeking to overturn Justice Anthony Eboa's decision not to grant their request. They also demanded that the court orders Justice Anthony Eboa to stop hearing the case even before it determines their application. Lawyers for the license buying companies on Thursday informed the court of their pending applications at the Court of Appeal. Justice Anthony Eboa adjourned his ruling to October 18.
The Energy Ministry is dismissing claims by the minority that the Minister of Energy, Boakye Jaako, is to be blamed for the recent shutdown of the Tema oil refinery. According to minority spokesperson on energy, Adams Mutawakilu, the minister's recent announcement that Tor will be turned into a tank farm is what is making it difficult for the refinery to raise letters of credit to purchase fuel to operate. He has therefore called on the minister to work towards restoring confidence in the refinery.
When you have a minister of energy at an international conference such as offshore technology conference as Houston, Texas, making a statement that they will convert Tor to a tank farm, is sufficient information to investors and lenders. That means that the Tor is coming to an end. Now, Tor then going to the bank to take letter of credit, with this banker having in mind that soon Tor will be shut down. What do you think they will do? Definitely, they will have a problem with giving letter of credit to Tor. This is a facility, the machinery, they are in good shape. Today, if crude is there, they will process. But just this statement by the minister is the one that is crippling Tor.
What can be done to remedy the situation from your perspective?
The minister should state emphatically that Tor will not be turned to a tank farm. 1. 2. The minister must ensure the public that as part of payment of the legacy debt through ESLA, of which this government is now raising some money to settle the debt, and to assure people that this debt will be settled in due course through the next bond that will be issued.
But Deputy Energy Minister Joseph Kudjo is dismissing the claims, accusing the minority of making uninformed allegations.
Tor has told everybody, I don't want to talk at the level of opinion. I will talk at the level of what Tor says. It is exactly. They say the close down is a temporary measure to bring crude. That is the understanding we have. If somebody is saying the plan or the policy line which was emergent is the factor that led to Tor's closure today, then the person has not followed Tor's issues over the past 20 years. Why is Tor so popular? Is it popular all the years before this government came into power because it is doing so well, or because there were a lot of problems always there?
But how come don't they have crude oil right now? Because if you are working, you should always have your raw materials. Again, sticking to facts. Do you have a response to that?
Yeah, Tor, as any processing company, should have raw input. This is something you process to your output, which is petroleum products. And the chief executive has indicated it's doing everything possible to bring in crude to process for the refinery to function. So we patiently wait for what he's doing. I know he has taken steps to achieve that.
Your colleagues think, unless there's as in your colleagues on the minority side, there's a reversal of that policy with a plan to turn it into a tank farm, they may never be able to resurrect, and get back into business. Does that policy still stand against sticking to the facts as per the situation?
I haven't known that policy as a policy that has been cast in stone at the moment. I haven't known that. Okay, I haven't known that.
So it's possible it may change?
It is. The reason why I'm saying I haven't known that is that when you are communicating a direction or a thinking, and it is taken as the policy formulated, approved, and communicated, then it's unfortunate. That is what is happening.
Health workers at the Salaga District Hospital say hundreds of children in the area are at risk of death because the health facility does not have a newborn and infant care unit, NICU. The East Gonja municipality has one of the worst records of maternal and infant deaths in Ghana, and there are fears it may further deteriorate. My colleague Justice Beidou has been there and filed this report.
This is the only major hospital in the East Gonja district, a district of an estimated 150,000 people. It's heavily under-resourced with only 2 doctors. Health workers here are overstretched. This room is supposed to be the maternity ward, but it houses everybody, including visitors. The East Gonja district, where Salaga is capital of, is one of the districts with the worst records in maternal and infant health in Ghana, recording some of the highest deaths of mothers and babies. This year alone, this facility has seen more than 40 babies with neonatal defects like this. That means, ideally, these babies are not supposed to be in the midst of other children for many varied reasons, not least because such babies are more vulnerable to infections that could lead even to death.
Babies are prone to infection. So imagine if somebody is having some bad cough here and the person is coughing, baby is here, the immune system is very low. there's possibility that the baby can pick the infection very fast. And you can see mosquitoes are also there. The baby can get even mosquito bites, and the other thing you get is maybe malaria.
The Salaga Hospital was supposed to be the saving point for mothers like Amina Abukari, whose baby has been diagnosed with neonatal sepsis, one of the commonest child infections here.
Our biggest challenge is just the referral system, how they are able to come. They come on very weak motorbikes, some very weak Motor King ambulances and all that. And most of our clients come here very late, and then once they come late, the condition of their mothers are always very deteriorated.
The hospital in Salaga is in desperate need of a NICU center that would help end some of these deaths that continue to take away precious lives. Justice Beidou, Joy News, Salaga.
And before we take a break, former Attorney General Margareta Brew Apiapong has been appointed to the International Criminal Court as a member. According to a letter signed by ICC President Alexis Moore, Mrs. Apiapong's appointment takes effect from July 1, 2018 to June 30, 2021. The letter announcing the prestigious 3-year appointment and published in full below states the inauguration of this revitalized and fully gender-balanced court opens a promising new chapter in the court's history with its largest, most regionally and generationally diverse network of members to date. Apiapong is a distinguished Ghanaian legal practitioner and the former Attorney General of Ghana and Minister for Justice of Ghana. And already there have been some congratulatory messages coming from across the country, and I add my own congratulations to the former Attorney General. We're taking in the headlines here on Joy News Prime. Media Foundation for West Africa questions methodology used by investigative journalist Anas Aremia Anas and welcomes public debates on it. Anas Aremia Anas has however justified his methods, insisting they have become necessary. Minority once again accused the Speaker of Parliament of gagging them after he disallowed a comment by the ranking member on Foreign Affairs, but the Speaker insists he took the right decision. Police administration questions police officer said to have been found drunk with a weapon in public transport. Well, in business, National Petroleum Authority briefs Council of State on its preparedness for rollout of new LPG cylinder recirculation policy from January 2019. Also in the bulletin, President Akufo-Addo has removed the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Charlotte Osei, and her 2 deputies. The Director of Communications at the Presidency, Eugene Ahin, says their replacements will be named soon. That's it for the bulletin. My name is Uzulai. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good night.
This is Joy News Prime.